Hey everybody, it's Free to Play Bust. Getting ready to start up expedition number 59 here. This is the first one with the new expedition rewards. Let's see how it goes. Okay, Arachnophilia Draven's fine. This is a pretty good pack. What I think I tend to run into with Arachnophilia Draven is if we don't find an Elise in the second pack, then I try to kind of swap it over into Scrap Heap. But this is all in all pretty good. These are all cards you want in Arachnophilia. This is also cards that play extremely well in a just all-around aggressive Noxus deck. It's pretty hard to kind of count on seeing Elise second. You are guaranteed to see a Shadow Isles champion, but there's like 8 or 10 different Shadow Isles deck types, so you're not a huge percentage chance to see Elise. It's a lot easier the other way, because if you take Elise first in the Noxus side, there's only 5 champions, right? There's Arachnophilia Draven, Scrap Heap Draven, Noxamite Darius, Disruption Darius, and then Relentless Katarina. So there's only 5 choices coming from Noxus, but I think like Thresh has 2, Hecarim has 1, Elise has 1, that's 4. Who's left? The new one, the one, not the new one, the one that just got swapped, the 4/3 Fearsome. She has 2, so that's 6. I guess it's just a little bit worse. Not too bad. At any rate, here's a Demacian Steel Garen. I'm not real stoked about this. I don't think Garen's very good. What I typically try to do with Demacian Steel Garen is actually be a 3-champion deck. And try to be a full Demacia deck. In my opinion, the main reason to be in Demacian Steel is the 3/3 for 4 with Allegiance that gives all your units +1/+1. And so I think Garen and on his own is pretty bad. He just gets completely outclassed by Radiant Guardian. And so I'm not a huge fan of actual Garen or Demacian Steel. This is another pack where I'd prefer to be taking this second. And this isn't really... it doesn't really have any of the elite build-arounds to begin with. The Vanguard's fine and Detain is always good, but I'm really looking for some of the elite build-arounds if I'm going to start in on Demacian Steel. And this Ezreal is okay. Ezreal and Mystic Shot go 2 and 2 together. The Death's Door is the control decky kind of Shadow Isles where Golden Crushbot plays pretty good. All in all, this is a pretty reasonable set for Ezreal, but I'm going to take this Arachnophilia Draven. I think this is just the most powerful, the most synergistic set of cards. There are 3 choices. Oh, and what up? There's Hecarim. This was big with the Hecarim deck. They did with the 093 changes. They only made 2 changes to Expeditions. One of them was to add Darkwater Scourge to Shadows of Dust. Which is huge, huge, huge. With these Hecarim decks, you typically just going all in on Hecarim, and either playing a Scourge as a Time Walk or playing a Scourge as a 1-for-1 that gains 5 life. Whatever you get for it, it's just incredibly, incredibly powerful. And I was wondering why we never actually saw these when we were drafting our Hecarim decks, and this was why. It's because it didn't exist in Shadows and Dust. And so, all in all, I think this is, if we were just immediately going for the 7 winner, we would just snatch up this Hecarim. But I'm not really looking to do that. I think we've kind of covered what Hecarim does pre-nerf, and then we covered it post-nerf. I think I've 7-winned my last 4 Hecarim runs. It's just, here's how you make the Hecarim deck. You get a card pool that has Hecarim in it. You're going to pick Hecarim is your champion every single time, so your deck is going to have 3 Hecarims and then 1 of another champion, and then you're going to be looking for cards like the Rekindler. You're going to look for cards like the things that just make multiple Hecarims, and so it's mainly the Rekindler. There's the Epic card that puts a copy of a champion from your hand into play. There's the card, the 6-cost guy from Ionia that copies a card in your hand. Just all of these cards that copy champions is what you're going to do with Hecarim. And then, so you basically just don't die until turn 6 when you play Hecarim, and then you just try to play Hecarim every single turn for the rest of the game. I feel like we've covered it. I don't feel like we're going to get a lot of value out of seeing how hard we can abuse Hecarim when we're in Noxus and Shadow Isles as opposed to Ionia and Shadow Isles. I'm just not super interested in doing that. So if you're going for the 7, I'd highly recommend taking Hecarim here. He's going to play okay with Draven. Noxus cards have, are fairly aggressive. You should be able to get some, chunky units down to stall the game out until you can play your Hecarims. But I'm going to just skip over this for this run here. So we'll either be looking at this Yasuo, which is not too exciting. I don't like Steel Tempest. If we're going to be in an aggressive deck featuring these Noxus cards, like when are we ever going to Steel Tempest, this is more of a control-y kind of card. Same with Scaled Snapper. He's just... typically with Scaled Snapper, you're just playing it as a 2/5 to do a whole bunch of blocking. You can get some kind of interactions with him if you're in... like Shen, to where you can make him a 5/2 and try to get barrier attacks in. But typically both of these cards are going to play more towards control-y decks, and being in Draven, we're going to be trying to go wide with an aggressive deck. And so I'm going to take this Lucian down here. I would be more excited to see this be a relentless Lucian, because what we're going to try to do is we're going to have our quick attackers in Lucian and Draven and Senna. And then we're going to try to use Learned Duelist to give them Challenger and really kind of dictate how combats go. And so I think we're cool with this Lucian pack here. Let's see if we can't really get that kind of theme going again. This is all interesting stuff. I'm not interested in this Retribution pack. These Vanguard Redeemers are fine, but I usually prefer to play 3-drops that do more like combat-oriented, winning the game kind of things. The way the games go with these aggressive decks is we typically don't need these value units like Vanguard Redeemer. What I've tend to found with these is, say, if you take a look at a unit like Vanguard Redeemer, you're going to play it, it's going to get a 2-for-1, right? You're just going to play it and draw a card, our opponent's going to trade with it. We're probably just going to get a 2-for-1 with Reckless Tefarian as well. Our opponent's going to have to put 2 units in front of it to actually kill it. Sometimes maybe even 3, and it doesn't take any work to get going. And then if our opponent doesn't have blockers for it, it's just doing more damage. And these, I'm not trying to say that these are better in one way or the other. It's just Redeemer is better in more mid-range control decks, and the Trifarian's better in aggressive decks. And so this is the pack we're going to be looking to take here. I have a real hard time passing Legion Rearguard. I think it's just the best 1-drop in the game, and along with Reckless Jafarian, just all around great aggressive pack. This is pretty good Arachnophilia pack as well, just with the Blade Jeds and Brother Spawn. This is just the kind of interaction we want. We do want 1 Might in our deck, but we're looking for combat tricks like Elixir of Wrath and Brother Spawn, just because they're cheaper. We'll get a lot more value out of these cheaper tricks than, say, we would with like a Riposte, because we'd rather be spending all of our money. I want to spend all my money on the units, and then say it's on turn 4, and it's a lot easier to play some number of units on turn 4 and then spend an Elixir of Wrath than it is to spend play a 1-drop on 4 and try to play a Might or a Prismatic Barrier. And so these are the tricks we're kind of looking for, but the Rearguard and Trifarian are too good to pass up. Okay, we want nothing to do with this pack. We can just ignore this Wraithcaller Butcher. So it's going to come down to we want either a Succession or an On Guard. Both of these packs have a Vanguard Sergeant. We're pretty happy to have him in either way, because making 4 Demacias plays pretty well in this deck. I'm going to take the On Guard here. The value we get in Succession is, if we're playing more kind of slow decks, is to where we aren't playing anything on turn 1, and then we can Succession on turn 2. And this isn't a deck that's going to be doing that. We're really going to be looking to play Rear Guards and Precious Pets in the first 2 turns, in the first turn. And we're really looking to try to spend all 6 mana in the first 3 turns playing units. That just doesn't really fit in with Succession. So we'll take the On Guard. That really kind of fits in with the Challenger theme we're trying to get together as well. So it hopefully pan out pretty well. Okay. These are all around decent aggressive units. I'm not a huge fan. I'm not the biggest fan of Draven's biggest fan, but he's okay. This is usually like the worst 1-drop that we're going to have access to. But he's fine. And this aggressive set's just kind of everything that we're looking for here. We can pick up cards like Single Combat and the Chevalier later. We already have an On Guard. We aren't trying to play 6-cost combat tricks, so this is a pretty easy set of 1-drops to take. Okay. So here, I do like me a Hextech Transmogulator, but it just doesn't quite fit in this deck. This belongs in just a little bit slower decks to try to get a big value play out of this thing. So this is a touch awkward here. The Kato the Arm is extremely good, Radiant Guardian is extremely good. I think I'm just going to go with the Kato. The Trifarian is just a little bit more aggressive than this Blade Keeper. We would be okay with Blade Keepers in this deck, but it's not really a high priority. This plays better in kind of like standalone build around 3-drops, and that's not really what we're trying to do here. So we're cool with the Trifarian. He kind of plays to the theme. I think objectively Radiant Guardian is better than Kato, but he just fits the theme of this deck extremely well. Giving units Overwhelm really kind of helps us close out the game. But if we do see some more Radiant Guardians, we're not giving up on it. We're okay with taking them. Oh, here's an Arena Rearguard. Pretty excited for that. Ooh, this is the first Relentless Pursuit. We would like a Relentless Pursuit, but I have a hard time passing Rearguards, especially when we only have one. Arena Bookie's okay. We don't really have any combos with it, and but it's kind of a reasonable curve filler. If we have to play something on if we have to play it on like turn 4 or turn 5 to really just kind of upgrade our hand, it's fine. But I don't know. There's a Reckoner and a Relentless Pursuit. These are both cards that we definitely want one of in our deck. And that's tough. Our 1-drops look kind of fine right now. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 so far. I'd like to see that closer to 8. I think we're kind of good on 3s. I actually am going to take this Relentless Pursuit and the Reckoner. It's just both cards that we really want one of. So here, this pile's garbage. I do really like having Silverwing Vanguards in our deck. What tends to happen with this is just getting the 2 challengers down in a single turn really just lets us take over the board and get our attackers through. It's kind of similar to playing Might, but this lets us kind of directly interact with our opponent's units, and it's kind of a thing to where it's pretty good to just play on our opponent's turn. Like if our opponent is on like a curve draw, like with us we're trying to say play a rear guard on 1, Lucian on 2, and then on 3 maybe some other random 2-drop and a Saboteur. We're typically able to get wider than our opponents, and if our opponent, say, plays a 1-drop, skips a 2, then plays a 3, and then a 4, we can typically just like pick off their 4-drop with this and still have a good attack with the rest of our team. You're able to kind of sacrifice card advantage to get the damage through. So I am okay with these. I would like to have some in our deck, but the Lookout's just a complete turd. This is the pack we're going to be interested in. I'm not super high on Arachnoid Sentry, but he kind of gets the job done as just a way to say turn off an opponent's Radiant Guardian or something to get a final attack through. Legion Drummer is just excellent in this kind of deck when we're trying to pull off this challenger thing with our quick attackers like Lucian and Draven. Just gives us another quick attacker to deal that with. And here would be okay with Prismatic Barriers. It's kind of the best of the worst combat tricks we're looking for in this kind of deck. I think in general this is kind of one of the best combat tricks in the game, just not in this style of deck. So we'll take the Drummer and the Sentry. Okay. Interesting stuff. I just have such a hard time passing up these rear guards, but I think it's likely more important for us to take this Might. It has a 1-drop in here. This is a serviceable 1-drop, and we really need to have a Might in our deck. I hate passing these rear guards, but I think this is just a pack that we have to take. Okay. Interesting things. We don't really. We don't have challengers whatsoever, but these are what make the challengers really good. And they also make our 1-drops just kind of exceptional as well. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to take this pack. If we're going to take a Legion Drummer pack, we're taking the one with the chefs and not the one with the sentry. The other thing of note here is this is the first Senna that we've actually seen, and if we're going to be a Lucian deck, we're going to need a non-zero number of Sennas. If we're ever going to count on him to flip Senna, is basically the only way to do it. It's so unreliable to expect 4 LS to die. But when you get these combats with both Lucian and Senna, and we're really forcing our opponent to decide whether or not they want to flip a Lucian or flip a Senna, that's the kind of pressures this deck's really trying to apply. And so I don't. We do have some good like challenger build arounds, because the thing that we'll try to pull off here is getting a second attack with quick strike challengers is kind of the big relentless theme. We do have some kind of ways to pull that off with Senna and with Draven and Lucian. This is tough. This is an extremely close one here. I think I'm just going to stick with the 2-drops though. Some of our 1-drops are kind of turdy. Like if we were in one of these decks to where we had, like 4 Legion rear guards, he can kind of battle on his own. There's not other 1-drops that kind of value trade with him. Like the worst thing that'll happen to us is when we play, say, like a Legion Saboteur and has to trade with Mage Seeker Conservator. That's awful. But this is kind of the power in the rear guard is our opponents, Conservators and Omen Hawks. Just aren't good blocks against a rear guard, but they are good against, Saboteur, Draven's biggest fan. But these 2 guys kind of alleviate that. So I think that's why I'm going to take these the 2-drops here. We can hopefully just pick up a Senna at some point in the future. Okay. This is fine. I'm not big on the Legion Marauder theme. This dude's okay. If he gets in 1 attack and survives, he usually takes over the game. And that, is pretty easy to do. I don't want to say easy. It's not as hard to do with both, Legion Drummers mainly and War Chefs to a degree. Giving him a quick attack typically is good enough to make him survive the game. But these cards feel weaker than these other packs. It's either going to come down to if we want the Saboteur and Trifarian or the Radiant Guardian in single combat. And I'm going to take the Radiant Guardian here. We haven't taken particularly much top end. We are pretty aggressive, but we do need some amount of top end, and this is the person that we want. She's just incredibly powerful. Single combat gives us a way to interact with our opponent's units. We haven't seen any like whirling deaths, and so I'm happy to take this. If this was one of these packs with a rear guard and a Trifarian, I would probably take it, but I think this solves a lot of the problems we haven't quite filled in with our deck yet. Okay. Here's a Senna that we will be taking. I'm not excited about having 3 single combats. Our units don't play with it particularly well. We'll be looking to trade out some of these, but we are really looking for Senna. The Assessor's okay, but we don't have a lot of activators for it. It's fine if you just draw 1 card with it, which we do have a bit of ways to do that, but I think if we're going to be taking kind of one of these conditional removal spells and single combat and whirling death, then we'd rather just take Senna than we would take the Assessor. I'm not quite interested in picking up this top end here. Okay, here's just a pile of 1-drops. That's pretty easy to take. All these other packs are extremely expensive. I would like to have 1 decisive maneuver in our deck, but not at the cost of having a Shunpo with it as well. And these 1-drops are just too important here. Okay, interesting stuff. Don't think the hopeful is be that great in this deck. On 2, we're really looking to either play Legion Drummer, War Chefs, or Lucian, and we don't really need like these fill-in 2-drops here. We're probably just going to be taking 2 more Lucians as the draft goes on, so we're going to be able to pretty reasonably fill in our 2-drops and don't really need this. I don't want a second on-guard. And so it comes down to if we want these kind of interactive cards, or if we want a Lancer and a Radiant Strike, and I'm leaning on this Radiant Strike and the Lancer. These 1-drop combat tricks are just extremely powerful, and the Lancer is just a great piece of top end. We don't really have the means to make Vision good. We aren't quite a go wide deck like we would be if we had a bunch of the Spider generators. So I'm okay with this. And let's see. I want to keep my one on guard. I want to keep the Radiant Strike. This is kind of close, but I think our top end is good at this point. 2 Radiant Guardians might be a little much. I don't know. She is pretty powerful though. It's tough for me to pass on Radiant Guardians. I think she's just far and away one of the best pieces of top end in the game. It's like compare this to Garen. This is just better than Garen. he's an actual champion. And so interesting. It does let us just kind of get away from playing any having to draft any more top end the rest of the way. I think I'm actually going to be okay with this. Kind of plays well with these 3 single combats we got stuck with. I'm on board with the Guardian. Okay. Alright, we're in Shendarius, okay. Wonder if that's a disruption Darius. Well, who knows? But let's see here. I'm cool with keeping 1 drummer. We really need to find a 1-drop here though. I kind of pass considering just getting rid of everything. Since it is our open attack token, our odd attack tokens. Let's just search for it all. Shit, that's bad. That's extremely bad. Not seeing a 1 or a 2 in that mix is pretty painful. But that's why I was considering keeping the Legion drummer, was kind of in case this thing happens. But it's not going to be very common with our deck to where we don't see both a 1 or a 2 drop when we full mulligan like that. Okay, so we're gonna have to play units here. Okay, this is shaping up a little bit better. So who would we actually want to play? Like, the Trifarian's gonna be able to deal the most damage. If he gets hit with a Will of Ionia, I think that's okay. Our opponent's not playing Zed. Zed's the only champion that we'd be really kind of scared of here because he can actually race with what we're doing. I think we just need to get the most damage on board. If he wants to spend 4 mana on Twin Blading a Inspiring Mentor to trade with the Trifarian, we're more than okay with that because he's not actually adding to the board.
Okay, ready. How did that move go?
Okay, okay. I'm sure he has to have some kind of 3, right? Nothing? Oh, that's so bad for you, just a novice. That is a novice play. See what I did there? Let's see.
The balance.
And the Shen, we can battle with the Shen. Let's get... I don't think we're ever... I think we're just going to take this 3. We don't really care about it, and then we're going to have access to Might next turn. This is okay.
You won't get past me.
Because now we can still play... We can play both Arachnoid Sentry and Saboteur next turn, and then have access to a Might. Pretty okay with that. We want to play the Saboteur first, in case he plays like a 5-drop here. We can just stun it. This is the least scary Shen 2020. Okay, he can't Will of Ionia anymore. If he didn't have a combat trick last turn, he probably doesn't have one this turn. I think we're just gonna blow him out here.
Charge! do better this time.
Behind ya.
Understood.
We rep him lethal? How far away are we? Yeah, you dead. You gonna be dead. Oh, that's not cool. Maybe he's not gonna be dead. We can only +3 him, but we have to might here, take down his Shen. We're still in a commanding position. Okay. Needs like an avalanche here. Just can't imagine we ever lose this game from this spot. Okay.
It's Draven time.
Sure.
They will bleed for Noxus.
I think the only thing that really worries me here would be him having a that thing that gives a unit barrier and lifesteal would be a big problem.
Okay, ready.
Boom.
I don't think I quite have enough damage to get in for an additional 10. Maybe we can. Yeah, we still got Spinning Axe. So he's going to need a Whirling Axe there as well. Let's just hit the unit we care about the least with this.
For the money makers.
Guess we can still lose this one. Oh fuck, he's got it. Transfusion. Fuck. Guess I should have blocked this thing. Well, that part where I couldn't imagine how we ever lost this game was a little off. I want to leave one spot open. I wanted to play this guy because he lets me put 3 health in front of Darius without having to spend my Draven on it.
We march.
Okay, well, let's see if he's got a might or something. That world where I couldn't imagine losing just kind of happened. No, he's got. I mean, I guess we should have blocked this last turn, but just play your card, buddy. It's not that big of a decision. Sure. Okay. Well, we'll have to tighten it up for the next game here. This is far from a 0-win deck. Shit. Okay, so let's see here. I think we'll be happy with this. I want to keep the one on guard, the one Radiant Strike. These aren't cards we really need to be picking up, but Brothers Bond should be pretty good in our deck. The Sentry did play well that game. Like, that game was what you want to be doing with your Arachnoid Sentries, right? Where, kind of like how I was talking about the Bird Maker, the 4-cost guy that makes 2 birds. That's kind of the same idea as to where, you know, if our opponent's stuck on one of these curve draws to where they're just trying to play a, 5-drop into our wide board, then we can just drop a Sentry and stun it. He plays similarly, but I think Brothers Bond is just going to be better here. Alright, let's tighten this one up. We had no business losing that game. I think if I was playing against any champion other than Darius, then the block on, like, skipping the block on that 6 health or 6 attack guy would have been okay, but I forgot that he was playing Darius, and allowing his Darius to flip was not intelligent. So I should have just dropped something in front of that, whether probably the 2/1 that does the damage when he attacks. Because we still had units in our hand that we could have played behind. That was a silly. I was just being sloppy. Okay, got some 1-drops. I'm gonna keep both of these, and then okay, this is the kind of draw we're talking about.
Where's my axe?
He doesn't play anything. Okay, I was gonna say we have a decision here as to whether or not we just want to play 2 Saboteurs. There's not a lot. He could play like a Boom Crew rookie, which would make that terrible. But drawing the rear guard makes it easy. There aren't a whole lot of 2/3s. Most.
Explosives.
Oh boy, we're just doing it. Get got for 9. Got a Mystic Shot. Yeah. Why would you Mystic Shot the Saboteur? Okay.
Okay, ready.
Alrighty.
Oh, if
Sure.
mushrooms could talk. Look out!
Can't block. We're just gonna go fully wide here with these 2 Legion Drummers.
We march as one, an unstoppable
We don't
force.
quite have to. Let's see what he does here. I don't feel like that's a single combat that I want to make. He can only play 1 card here. He can only play attack boosting cards, which doesn't really matter in this situation. So let's get a drummer online. We can then attack, quick strike a drummer, quick strike Shafarian. So this will probably block a drummer. This will block one of these 3/2s. That seems
Victory.
perfectly okay with me.
I'm a peddler, not a meddler.
Yep.
Excuse you.
Shouldn't be any cards here that matter. I think it's just stalling because he has Mushroom Clouds.
Keep formation.
It's not who you're wanting to be playing at this stage of the game.
No one's the wiser.
Cut him down.
Okay, have to imagine this is enough. But yeah, I guess you could take a moment to talk about the expedition rewards. I'm not real stoked with the change, but I think I understand why they did it. For someone like myself, where I play, like the 3 full expeditions every week, and then usually some on top of that. I mean, I'm usually doing 7, 8, 9 expeditions a week, or trials, I should say, a week. And for me, like, my collection is almost full at this point. Like, I've been getting, the 3 champions a week since the beginning, and I have, infinite dust. Like, before the change, I think I have like 18,000 dust, and so between like the expedition token and all the dust I have, I'm not really running into issues with completing all the expeditions. Let me see here real quick. We're in a spot where we can take either Draven or Lucian. I'm really leaning towards just taking a bunch of Lucians, because he's just a little bit more aggressive than Draven. But these cards are a bit awkward. We do really want Cythria. I think she's going to be like the second best. She might be the best champion for our deck. I don't know if or the best unit. I don't know if she's better than Kato. objectively, she's probably better than Radiant Guardian. Radiant Guardian tends to play better in kind of slower decks, but she still just kind of gets the job done here as well. She's impossible to block. But Cytherea gives all our turdy units, you know, the fearsome, so they're harder to block. Don't really need a second Might, but the card that's really kind of swaying my decision here is Crowd Favorite. We're completely empty on 4-drops. We just have no 4s whatsoever in our deck, and his Overwhelm can be extremely important. But I think if we're going to be taking these combat tricks, we're kind of okay with a second Might as opposed to a second Brother's Bond. Cytherea is just going to be incredibly powerful. The reason we kind of took Lucian, we kind of ignored some 2-drops earlier, is because we just planned on having 3 Lucians as well. I think I'm okay with this. But yeah, like, so for somebody from like my perspective, having the expedition rewards reduced is a problem, especially since I haven't, like with the rewards this week, I was across to rank 10 fairly easy. Like at 10 is where you get the champion wild card, and I was, I don't know, like 90% of the way to rank 11. But like even with the previous system, I was never able to get like the 3 diamond chests. I was never able to get max chests just playing expeditions. Here, same as last game, we'll keep the 2 1-drops and get rid of this other stuff. But if you know you're somebody that doesn't play as much as I do, like getting in a second and a third expedition can be extremely hard. And so it's one of those things where, from the perspective of me, it kind of sucks. For the perspective of, you know, you guys that are seeking out the videos that I'm making, here we have to attack. We can technically play Legion Drummer next turn, but like I just want to go ahead and get this off the board. You know, if you're a more casual player, or you know, you viewers that are actively seeking out expedition runs, you're probably not the people that are having issues, you know, kind of building up your champions. How do we most efficiently spend our mana here? We're going to play Lucian, and next turn we'll play a rear guard and a drummer, or we can even play Saboteur Drummer. And so I get it from, you know, the more casual perspective. If the way for you to build your champion pool was with expeditions, and you aren't able to, you know, play all 3 expeditions every week, I guess that could be kind of feels bad. Okay, so these attacks don't matter. Sometimes the ordering of your Lucian and Senna will be extremely important, and in this case it just didn't matter.
Silent as death.
So we're in kind of a spot here, because we need to at least represent being able to kill him on our next attack. And so, because what's going to happen is he's just going to play another elusive. He's going to hit us for 7 here. Any elusive will kill us on his next attack. So we need to be able to get rid of at least one of these, with him getting a block with Greenglade Elder. And so we can either play Vanguard Sergeant and try to For Demacia, which would be 12, and then he would have to block with something else, or we can just get Width. Or we can try to play Lancer next. No, we're gonna have to play Lancer next turn. Okay, that makes it a little easier. We just have to play Lancer, hook his Greenglade duo. If he has a Will of Ionia, we'll just die. But we're going to want to play. Doesn't particularly matter. We're just going to be fully wide.
No one's the wiser.
Where's my axe?
Here, I'm going to put Senna on the right, because if Lucian dies in combat, then we're able to get in more damage with her if she's able to flip, and then we can get in for 10, or 8 rather. I can't imagine we get some kind of block where 4 of our units die. Okay, so we're going to do this, we're going to do this, you and you, Lucian, Senna. Now how do his blocks look? He can put this in front of Lucian if he wants to. I'd say he's probably just, he can put this here, this in front of Lucian, he's going to die to value block. I think this is okay.
Think before you strike.
You cannot escape.
Looking for this?
Okay.
Damn it!
Now we should only take 3. We can rep a block with either Senna or Lucian in front of this thing if he wants to attack with it.
Quietly.
Yeah, that'll do it. Okay. Needed an on guard. Okay. So let's see here. We don't want this back to back. I still think this on guard's too good. I'm okay with trading out a single combat for a saboteur. I don't really want to have 3 single combats. I think 2 is the number we're kind of looking for here. And I do want to keep this one Radiant Strike. Okay. The Peter J. The one and only. Okay, let's find some 1-drops. Good deal, good deal. That is a curve. Oh, get to showcase the on guard with the. Oh, that's unfortunate. I think we still have to play a guy into this. These things like this are why I really like the Legion rear guarding as opposed to these units that just have 1 health. Because we technically don't have to attack with it, but what are we going to do with this if we just don't attack with it? I guess we do already have a Lucian and a Draven at this point. I think this is okay. Just not exciting.
How can Brom help?
Can't rep anything scary here.
I've always got your back.
At least Senna looks good, so if his plan was to hook Lucian and kill him, then it threatens to flip.
It is easy, see?
We're building up to this on guard, that's for sure.
How about a game of catch?
Should just be able to annihilate his board at some point in the game. We can't quite take down his Braum yet. We're just going to have to accept that this is going to flip. See, this is the strength in On Guard. If this was a non-Braum unit, you can see just dictating every single combat is pretty bonkers.
Nothing escapes my watch. Let's do this.
This is scary with Braum now. If I had any combat trick, you know,
Ready the torches.
Elixir of Wrath would just take down his Braum, no problem. But this is okay.
Light the signal fire.
We can technically, you know, try and spinning axe this down next turn, but I don't think that's a thing we're going to be trying to do. There's a Relentless Pursuit. You can see how powerful this combination is with On Guard and Relentless Pursuit. Avalanche. Ugh. That's a problem. I don't think there's really anything we can do about that. He's just gonna hook and kill our Draven. This game's getting out of reach. We had our full setup and then the avalanche just boomed us. Okay, well, we can get this on board. He's just gonna hook and kill our Draven and there's not anything we can do about it.
What are you
We can technically add a Lucian, but getting the 1 point onto Lucian I don't think is that important. Maybe should have waited until he attacked so he wouldn't know that I just don't have any combat tricks, but the number of times this gets brittle steeled with the combat trick is very high.
My shield. Good luck. Have fun.
Yep.
Look how we have grown.
This is too bad. I think we're too far behind this game now.
Suck.
Radiant Guardian can do quite a bit of work, but oh my god, this is the time my cat decided to fucking jump on me. This is what I'm going to be getting the rest of the match. I mean, what do we even do here? I think we just have to slow down. It sucks we don't have any like prismatic barriers or riposts. We just don't have any way to deal with this Braum. I think we just have to get fully wide.
Push back the darkness.
And then see if we can't still pull down some kind of shenanigans with a full board. Oh my god, cat!
Train hard, grow strong, like baby.
Okay, adding this, but yeah, not having a combat trick to ever take down this Braum was terrible. Oh, we're so far behind now.
Friend, you are lucky man.
Okay.
Thanks for it.
Sure. As long as he doesn't have anything to boost these, we might be able to grind this out. I can't imagine we're just going to lose Lucian here. We're going to play Radiant Guardian.
This is fun, yes?
Yeah. I don't know, I guess our big mistake this game was making that the attack when we had all our quick attackers and we let his Braum get big. Well, I think we had one spinning axe. We could have attacked with just Senna. But we probably made a mistake there. You don't help any. Needed a good elite. Oh my god.
We are forged in war.
How can we get out of this? We need to just get our 7-4 challenger, I guess. I'm okay with passing here. I don't think adding Legion Drummer does a whole lot here. We're past the point where these 1-drops are any good. But I think that's probably our only out. Let's go ahead and play Vanguard Squire because she can block Shield Breaker. And then I think that we just have to find a...
Follow along, little one.
Sure.
My
Yeah,
friend,
he's got a
you
ton
are
of these.
lucky.
I don't care about this because well, I guess you can be hitting like fluffed tufts. I still stand behind Braum is fucking terrible and he's the worst champion in the game. I think we just got over aggressive in this game, especially in a game where we had access to like all of the tools to just have a monster combat. I think we just got a little bit too aggressive and like on these attacks to where we're attacking into say Fiora. We could take this, and it's just giving them the bonus on your turn when you don't need to. I think that's kind of the issue we ran into here. Was we attacked too aggressively into this Braum when we should have just attacked with Senna. Yeah. Okay. Still think we can do it. We just have to draw our giant challenger. Okay. I think the number of times we're successful here are pretty low. I think we just don't have a lot of choice otherwise.
Charge!
Strike for justice!
Okay, so we can at least survive +1 health. If we just get Frostbite or Harsh Winds or something here, this game's just done.
Eat! Eat that grow strong!
Okay. At least take this thing down. That'll at least buy us some time. I don't think we have any draws left. I mean, we just got... we just had to spend 8 cards to take down this Braum. I can't imagine we ever come back from this. But 12. We're not dead. Okay, we'll go ahead and give this one up. I think that'll do it. That was too bad. We played too sloppy today. That was the problem. Losing the first game we lost in round 0, we're definitely too sloppy. We made up for it there, but I think in this game we should have definitely been in that. I think we ran into it more commonly happens with Fiora, as to where you get into these spots to where you don't really want to attack your opponent. You need to just, against like an OTK Fiora, you really need to just grind out their removal spells, because if your opponent's going to spend four combat tricks on Fiora, you want them to be doing it across 8 turns, right? And so you do a lot of not attacking into Fiora to just really try to grind out the game and keep her from OTKing you across 4 turns. You try to do it across 8 turns. I think in that game I should have, like, we had everything built up. We had the board of Draven, Senna, Lucian, and we had on guard. We had the ways to get in some kind of big monstrous attack. We just didn't have any combat tricks outside of a spinning axe. And so I think if we were attacking, then we shouldn't. We should have only been making attacks that threatened to kill his Braum. And we only had the one spinning axe, and so we could really only do that with Senna. But I mean, even thinking back on it now, he got a take heart. That's where he took over that game. If we made an attack with just Senna and we could have threatened to kill him, then he couldn't have take hearted. And then if he was going to take heart, it would have been on the following turn, where he would have had to attack into us. And then at that point, he still wouldn't have had a flipped Braum. We just didn't have any way to deal the 10 damage to him. But we also had a deck that had like no detains in it. And so that was going to be a tough ask to actually kill him. But typically against these Braum decks, that's what we're looking to do, is to just attack into him over and over again. It typically doesn't matter that he gets flipped, because those Poros are just too slow. But with him actually having a take heart Braum, it was a little tough to deal with. But I still stand by my claim that Braum's the worst champion in the game, and Freylord is the worst faction in the game. And so even the thing you run into if you're ever a poker player is, if your aces are still just like a 9-to-1 favorite against any two cards, and so you're still losing 10% of the time. And so that's one of these matchups to where I feel like if we got to play against that Poro deck, in like a best of 7, we'd be annihilating it, and if we were playing a best of 100, we'd probably win that one 80 times. But sometimes you do get into that one game where you're a favorite to win, but you just don't pull it out. At any rate, there's some kind of rewards here. Let's go ahead and open them up, and then we'll call it for this run. I think this was definitely better than a 1-win deck. This should have been a deck that was challenging up to 7 wins. We just we played a little sloppy, and we ran into some variance, and wasn't as good as it could have been. But I hope you enjoyed the run. If you like what's happening here, please give it a subscribe or a like or whatever the YouTubers ask of you. I hope you enjoyed it. This is Free to Play Bust, and I thank you for watching.